What's down, people, and welcome back to another episode of Ghetto Gospel. So where we left off at. Last week, we talked about Jacob doing the same foolishness that his parents did and playing favorites with his kids. Specifically, his son Joseph was his favorite. Joseph had these dreams about him ruling his family that made his brothers hate him. And his daddy gave him this fresh robe that made his brothers hate him even more. The last thing we talked about was how Jacob was using Joseph to narc on his brothers and how that wasn't going to end well. And now we caught up. So at the end of the last episode, Jacob sent Joseph to go check up on his brothers. And this probably wasn't the first time. This time though, when he made it to where his brothers were supposed to be at, they wasn't there. Then they say that he was wandering around and some random unknown dude was like,
"What you looking for?"
And Joseph was like,
"I'm looking for my brothers. You know where they went with their flocks?"
So homeboy was like,
"Oh, they went to that spot down the road."
So Joseph headed down the road. When his brothers saw him coming, they was like,
"Here come the dream master. You know what? Let's send that boy up and then throw him in one of them pits around here. We could tell folks some kind of animal ate him. Then we'll see what happened with his dreams."
And so when the oldest brother Reuben heard him say that, he was like,
"We ain't gotta kill him. Don't shed no blood. Just throw that boy in a pit out here in the wilderness. Don't put hands on him."
That boy Reuben figured he'd come back later and rescue him and bring him back to his daddy. So when Joseph finally made it back to his brothers, they stripped his robe off of him, the flower when his daddy gave him, and threw him in an empty pit. And it makes sure to tell us that that pit ain't have no water in it. So I imagine he hit the bottom kind of hard. So then they sat down and broke bread, because I guess that's what you do after you throw your brother in a hole. And while they was eating, they saw some traders from up in the northeast, and they had all kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, the brother started getting all sentimental like,
"I mean, what we really get out of it if we kill our brother and then cover it up? Yeah, let's sell him to these traders. I mean, he is our flesh and blood, right?"
And all the other brothers was with it. So they sold that boy for 20 pieces of silver. Based upon a little bit of research I did, that's about $250 in today's money. Yeah, they sold their brother pretty much for the price of a nice pair of Jordans. And once they bought him, them traders took him to Egypt. So I guess Reuben was off somewhere else when this little transact was going down. Cause it said that he came back to the pit looking for Joseph. But when he saw that boy was gone, he ripped his clothes. That's something folks used to do back in the day when it was boo-hoo sad. Then he went back to his brothers like,
"The boy gone. What I'm supposed to do now?"
If you like me, you wondering why Reuben ain't break out running to try and catch up with the folks that had his brother. My guess is that they was either already too far off, or his brothers hated Joseph so much that they wasn't gonna tell Reuben and give him a chance to drag back the annoying little brother. And for Reuben, I mean, he was probably already on his pop's bad side for smashing his side wife. And now he gotta tell him that his favorite son gone, and it happened under his watch. You know how that go if you the older brother. So let's say they took the robe that Jacob gave to Joseph, killed the goat, and dipped that robe in the blood. Then they sent it to their pops, asking him to confirm if it was Joseph's robe or not. And when he seen it, he knew it was Joseph's robe, and he figured some kind of animal tore that boy to pieces. I ain't acting out a father losing his son. I ain't really trying to shed no tears today. So Jacob tore his clothes and put this hard, itchy fabric around his waist and mourned over his son for a long while. And when his other sons and daughters tried to comfort him, he just said that losing his son was gonna kill him. And the whole time all that's happening, Joseph was getting sold to this dude in Egypt named Potiphar, who was one of the Pharaoh's generals, and he was also the dude who was in charge of his bodyguards. Next week, we're gonna take a break from what's going on with Joseph and talk about this weird little story that gets sandwiched in between. It is not kid-friendly. So parents, do y'all job. So that's it for this week. If you don't know Jesus, but you're trying to get to know him, go and click that first link in the description down there. I'll see y'all next week, and as always, peace, and I hope y'all people straight.